welcome to Fringe Toast. Here in just a few seconds, we're going to be talking to some people who have seen Bigfoot in our area or have had communication with Bigfoot in our area. Now, I don't know if seen is the correct word.
What are we distinguishing between seen and communicated?
Okay, so the first person that we're going to talk to, his name is Dylan. And from Dylan's report, he has been actively working in and around like a river. And at night, there have been like a series of noises and whatnot coming from the other side of the river. And rocks being thrown, large rocks being thrown.
Oh, okay.
Into the river, and it seems he feels like it's trying to communicate something to him.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or something is trying to communicate to him. So, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and see about getting him on the line.
Hello?
Hello, may I speak with Dylan?
Hello?
Hello, may I speak with Dylan?
Yes, sir. This is he.
Dylan, this is Bobby Abercrombie with FringeToast.com. And myself and Matthew Plotner here. So before we get started, I just wanted to for sure get your confirmation that we can use the recording from this phone call for our podcast.
Yes, sir. That's straight.
Excellent. Okay, Dylan. So why don't you just start from tell us roundabouts where you're at. Are you in Haralson County, Georgia?
Yeah, for sure.
Haralson County.
Yeah. I don't want to tell like the exact location. You know what I'm saying? Just in case anybody got a little curious. I don't want them to scare off what we might have out here or nothing. You know.
Okay, yeah, I completely understand.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But it's off of Jacksonville. You know, on the Jacksonville area.
Okay.
And it's happened a few times. You know, my buddy's property is right on the river, and there's a bridge close to it. Well, the first time he's ever had anything happen, when he first moved in over here, there was something making these big splashes in the river at night, and it would only happen like once in a blue moon, you know. So at first, when I was told about it, like he told me, he was like, "Yo, dude, there's something. I don't know what it is. Something's making these giant splashes out here in the river." I just assumed they were beavers, so I was like, "Yeah, they're just beavers, dog, just slapping the water with their tail."
Right.
Well, one night, him and another one of my friends got to talking about it, and they were like, "Well, won't we just walk over here across the river and see if we can't see anything? You know, maybe there's some beaver trails or something like that." So we go across to the other side of the river, and we didn't see anything. You know, there's no kind of trails. Well, all we did see is there's super, super thick brush along the whole side of the river over there. Like there's no paths or nothing. It's just really thick with briars. And like, I mean, it was really hard to get back through there. Well, anyways, we decided, you know, there was nothing there, whatever. We come back to our side of the river, and I bet we haven't, like, we had been over on the far side of the river 10 minutes prior to this. So then my buddy was like, you know, "Hey, we'll just go down here real quick, and I'll show you where we was hearing this, or where I heard this stuff at." So the three of us walked down there, and he said it happened when he was throwing rocks over into the water, like just skipping rocks in the middle of the night.
Right.
So this time it was about probably 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. We went down there and he threw one rock into the water, and then I mean, like maybe 5 seconds after this rock hit the water, the three of us saw this massive rock. This rock wasn't like a rock that you would just like find out in the woods. It was one of those rocks that they put like under bridges and in construction zones, like really big gravel, basically.
Wow.
This thing, yeah, it was like probably realistically the size of like a cantaloupe, maybe a little bigger. Like, I mean, they were big rocks, to be thrown this far. We never saw anything like in the woods. We had a spotlight, but it was dark, and we could never actually see any kind of movement. The only thing that we saw that night was the rocks coming out of the tree lines, which was crazy. Had us all kind of almost freaking out, like not really sure what was going on. But whatever was hucking these rocks, it was not as if they were being lobbed like granny throat or nothing. It looked like they were being like fast pitched out of these woods, because they were just coming straight out and then dropping off at the end. You know what I mean? They weren't like arched or nothing, which was strange to me, because I tried to pick up a rock that was similar sized and throw it, and there was absolutely no way I was throwing it out into the river. Whatever was throwing them is throwing these things well, like I would say it's probably a good 15 foot out before it touched water. Like it was halfway across the river. But whatever was throwing them would throw them in response to how many we would throw. So like he would throw 2 rocks, and then whatever's across the river would throw 2 more big ass rocks. And it just after like probably 7 or 8 stone throws, we had just about had enough. We were about freaked out, you know what I'm saying, because it's pitch black out here and we had one light. So we start walking back up the hill. Well, when we leave the little sandbank thing where we had started at, it just starts going nuts and throwing all kind of rocks. I mean, like one after the other, just going up and down the riverbank, it sounded like. And we got up to the top of the hill, which is probably a good 150, 200 yards away from the riverbank, because his house is up on top of like a little peak of the hill. And standing up at the house, we couldn't see the river, but we could for sure still hear whatever it was throwing rocks everywhere. So then that night ends, months go by, and then one of my friends comes over, and she passes the bridge that's near his house, and she was like, yo, I don't know what this was, but she was all freaked out when she got there. She said that she's seen a set of eyeballs, is specifically what she said, that were like probably like 12 inches apart, maybe, is what she said, and about golf ball sized. So I was sitting there like, hey, maybe this might be what's hucking rocks. So we go back down to the bottom of the river. And again, this is about the same time, like 10:30, 11, maybe midnight. And we go back down there, and this time it took a little while. We probably threw 3 or 4 rocks into the water before we ever got any type of response. Like we was about to leave, and then I seen a rock come out of the woods. These rocks were significantly smaller, but they were still pretty big size. They were like, I don't know, maybe about the size of 2 of my fists, like 2 fists together. They weren't huge rocks, but they were still pretty big, And they looked like they were probably just picked up in the woods somewhere. The first time it was very clear that it was like I said, construction rocks. They were clean and like gray. I mean, we could see those rocks really, really well. But the second time it happened, they were significantly smaller. They happened fewer and far between, and then he only threw a rock, whatever it was, only threw the rocks like 5 or 6 times. But the thing that was crazy to me the second time is at one point, my friend who was throwing the rocks, he threw 2 rocks right after each other. Boom, boom. And then a few seconds later, whatever else was over there threw 2 rocks back. And so then we were like, wow, that's crazy. You know, maybe it was a coincidence or whatever. Then he tried throwing 1 rock, and he responded with 1 rock. And then he did 3 rocks, one after the other. And the thing threw 3 rocks, one after the other, right then. So then that kind of freaked us out a little bit, and then we left again. Well, those were my 2 experiences that I personally had with that one. But then my buddy's nephews, they also experienced basically the same thing. They were just out there skipping rocks. I think they were a little bit later. It was like probably 2 a.m. when they were doing it. But they were out there skipping rocks, and they ran up to the house because something started throwing them back, and they didn't have a spotlight or nothing though, so they couldn't see across the bank. But we hear crazy noises out there all the time, like
howls.
It's hard to explain the noise. It's not necessarily a howl. It's more
like a screeching.
It almost sounds like coyotes, coyotes yelping, but it is for sure not a coyote sound. Like I don't know. It's hard to, like I said, it's hard to explain the sound that it's making, but the closest thing that it does resemble is like coyotes yelping.
Mm-hmm. That's what I keep hearing is like like a screech. That's what I keep reading anyway. I haven't heard one, but I keep reading.
Sorry?
It's like what I keep reading is it's like this very high pitched, like a screech.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like one time we were standing at the garage and we heard that sound, you know, that coyote-like yelping type sound, but it was like I said, for sure not coyotes, and it was just one. It was one single. I'm going to call it a voice that we were hearing that was making this noise. So we heard it start at one end of our property, like on our side of the river. And then it, you know, made those crazy noises a few times. And it was loud enough that it stopped us mid-conversation. Like we were just working on a car and then heard this in the background. And like I said, the riverbank from the top of the house is probably a good 150, 200 yards away. So then we hear it work its way, still yelping, from the side closest to the road on our property. It starts working its way like deeper into the woods, and then it literally sounded like a grown man cannonballed into the river off of this rock. I don't know what that was. I don't know if he was throwing rocks. I don't know if it had jumped in the water, whatever it was, but that's what we heard. We went down there to investigate and didn't see nothing. We've never seen any kind of footprints, no kind of like super visual evidence of anything except for the rocks flying out. I did have a friend of mine that he has seen, one of the 3 friends that was with me when the first rock throwing went down. He has a friend that he works with. So this dude's coworker comes to him a few days after a few days after the second rock throwing that we've seen, and he was like, "Yo, so I seen the craziest thing this weekend," and he said he was coming down Jacksonville, and he was like, right there at that bridge is where he said he's seen this thing, but he said he's seen something that he couldn't readily identify standing on the bridge that was easily taller than his vehicle. And he drives a Ford Escape. So it's not, I mean, it's like an SUV type deal. But he said whatever it was that was on this bridge was easily taller than his vehicle, but by the time his headlights could get up to it, he seen it dart off in the woods. But that guy was completely unreal, like didn't know anything about the rock hucking. Like he's a completely outside source, like he had just happened to be talking about that to one of my friends that did see the rock hucking.
So can you give us an estimate of when about in a given year, like season or maybe a month,
for sure,
that the first
yeah.
occurrence
So
happened?
the first occurrence happened probably about a year and a half ago, maybe. There is one thing I did leave out. When he first moved into the property, his boss bought this property that he lives on. So he moves in over here, and he's staying there for about a week at this point. Well, up on top of the hill, there are trees around, but there's no trees like directly around the house that to where like a limb or something could have fallen and smacked the roof, or like the wind could have blown and smacked the side of the house. There's nothing that could touch the side of the house like that. Well, he was just sitting there chilling in his living room around the same time. He said it was probably like 1 a.m. And like I said, this at this point was almost 2 years ago. He said he heard that crazy noise, that coyote type yell, and then something smacked the hell out of the side of his house right in front of his kitchen. And he said it literally sounded like a bear took his hand and just pounded the side of his house one good time. And he said he went outside. He never saw any kind of branches, no kind of nothing. It was just completely unexplained. But he said for sure something slapped the hell out of the side of his house. That was about 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years. Then the first rock hucking we saw was about a year ago. The second time it happened when me and my two friends saw the really big rocks being thrown. That happened about 6 months ago. And then the one time after that happened probably 3 months ago.
You talking about with the nephews?
Yes. Well, the nephews had seen theirs a couple of months after I seen the big rocks, and then not too long after that, like it was probably about another month maybe after that, they also are not they, but that's when my friend came over and seen the eyeballs, and then we went down there to the river and seen it at that time. So that was the three encounters that I talked about so far.
Well, I really do appreciate you sharing this story with us.
Absolutely.
Have you reported this to BFRO, the Bigfield Research Organization, or?
I haven't really talked to too many people about it because people think I'm crazy sometimes.
Yeah, man.
I get
like
that.
when you start talking about stuff like that, there's another thing out there that I'm almost certain is out there, but it's not a Bigfoot for sure.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I can distance myself from this whole thing. It's fairly easy. It's fairly easy for me to say, you know what? I like this topic because it's fun to talk about. I like talking about mythical shit, but
yeah,
it puts it into a completely different perspective when you've actually had an experience yourself.
Yep.
And so
for sure.
So it's easy to be bothered or to allow people to get under your skin whenever they say, make comments about you being crazy. It's easier, I would think, for that kind of thing to get under your skin when you've actually had a personal experience. Where for me, if they say that I'm crazy, I'm just like, look, at the end of the day, this is just a fun topic to me.
Yeah.
But for someone who's experienced this, that's a completely different story. So I really, really do appreciate you sharing your story with us, and the people of Fringe Toast will appreciate it as well.
Yes, sir. Have y'all heard of Dogmen?
Yes.
I have not.
Yes.
Yep, I'm familiar with them.
No?
I have not, but Matt has.
I've been listening to a lot of stuff and reading a lot on cryptids, and yeah, Dogmen is one of them that's actually associated a lot with Bigfoot, and they're kind of in the same territory. They but they share like locations, but different spot. I don't know. It's a weird thing.
And what's crazy is a lot more people have had encounters with these dogmen than they have with Bigfoots, but it's like that is it's such an abstract thing to think of, some giant, basically a werewolf running around in the woods, than it is to think that maybe there's a big monkey running around out here.
Right. A humanoid creature in itself is kind of difficult to wrap your head around, let alone it be something that's akin to a canine.
What I've been reading
is more like a werewolf.
They're like werewolf. They're humanoid, but they've got almost like the long snout and like the ears on the top.
Yeah, so these things they almost look like 800-pound German shepherds. But they kind of like walk upright sometimes. And
you're talking about something different than what I've been reading. You're talking about an actual like a dog, just a big dog.
No, it's not. It's not. This thing kind of walks. It's not. I get kind of worked up talking about this one because the Bigfoot thing gets me super curious. That dog man freaks me the fuck out.
Yeah,
it really genuinely sends chills up my spine.
What I've been reading. Yeah.
So, in the Corinth area, I know of 3 people who don't know each other that have all 3 told me similar things about seeing these dogmen since I've had my Bigfoot experience. And,
that's
and it's just
this is the first
all
time
the same area. You know?
I didn't know there were any in this area, but I've been reading up on that, and it's a very interesting thing. I don't want to get too deep into that right now because that's a different topic.
Specifically the stretch between Jacksonville and Corinth is I've had 3, like I said, 3 friends, one of which were my cousin. One of them was my cousin, and he actually he commented on y'all's page about his Bigfoot story.
Oh, really?
So like I said, that his Bigfoot story happened probably 3 miles from the property that I'm talking about.
Oh, wow!
But it happened when he was a kid. Yeah, and then one of my friends that came down to the property with me and saw the rocks being thrown.
Mm-hmm.
He and his little brother also, about a mile and a half down the road, them two at separate times have seen the dogman creature about 4 or 5 years apart.
So there's a lot of comments on our post. I tell you what would help me out a lot, because I mean, if he would be interested in talking to us about this particular scenario, I would be interested in speaking with him as well. If you could, don't say his name now, but if you could message me his name, just his name, so I can look for his specific comment regarding all of this. I would really appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, for sure. No problem. When he told me, the first time he told me what had happened to him was a few years ago, and I thought he was crazy. I was like, whatever. But after my experience, I didn't talk to him again about it. I'm a believer now.
Well,
just because of the area that it happened in,
You're our first contact on this particular topic in this region, so I really do appreciate your time. We do have to wrap this up, though, because we do have another person that wants to share their story with us.
Yes, sir.
Lined up at 7:30 here, and but again, thank you very, very much for sharing your story. And
it's greatly appreciated. I know that's kind of hard to share this with a grand audience, if you will. So thank you so much.
I tell you what, keep your eyes peeled for the release of this. Actually, I'll send you a link as soon as this goes live. So,
Nice.
and yeah, man, tell your friends about Fringe Toast.
All right, will do. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Y'all have a good one.
You too. Bye bye. So, dogmen.
You haven't heard about the dogmen?
Not
Really?
around here.
Not around here. Not around here. I hadn't heard anything about them around here.
I've lived in this area my entire life. I've never heard of that.
So I wonder, and this is something that I've been reading about too, is a lot of times they're actually like black bears or brown bears that have mange.
Oh,
And,
okay.
And so they lose all their fur and they get
I've seen pictures of this.
Yeah,
It
you
is
guys used to give pictures.
ferocious looking. They are beast of looking. But, I mean, I suppose that makes sense because even if a bear has mange, that doesn't stop him from getting up and doing bear things. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And
Now, I'm not saying that's what it is, but that's a lot of times that's what it's attributed to is that.
you're not going to believe this.
What?
So he just sent me the name of the guy.
He's our next call. That's funny. That's awesome.
Oh, that is awesome. He is our next call. That couldn't have been planned, man.
That was great.
I'm not even kidding you. Look.
Oh, that's funny. That's awesome.
Small world. We are dealing with, like, seriously, it's not the group that I posted the request on to see if anybody would be interested in is the Haralson County Transparency and Accountability group on Facebook, which currently has right at 20,000 members.
Wow.
So it almost has the same amount of population as Haralson County as a whole. So I guarantee that. I mean, I don't even live in Haralson County. So I know that there's outliers that join this page because, man, some of the weirdest stuff that you could ever imagine gets posted on there, and it is hilarious. I love it. Everything from, and the comments are even more better.
Comments are the best. I love reading comments.
Man, there are people that get into knockout dragouts on the other side of the screen. You know what I'm saying? That
Yep.
in the event that they ever seen one another face to face, it'd be a completely different story.
They'd be buddy.
Right? They probably I know it's happened a time or two where they've seen one another that given day and nothing happened.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in the comments boards of all these posts and whatnot, they were at each other's throats, and when I come over there, I'm gonna whoop your ass and shit like that. Real trailer park stuff.
I'm gonna have to start searching there more. I haven't been on there very much. I'm gonna have to do it. 'Cause
If you get Chrissy on there, she's gonna love it.
she would too. That's the thing.
Hours and hours of entertainment.
No, we've got TikTok and Facebook. We keep it busy enough. We need more.
I'm just trying to help you out.
No.
Anyway, so it's getting about time for us to give this other guy a call. I'm even more excited to talk to this guy now.
Yeah, right? No.
Knowing now we have a preface of what to expect from our call with Dylan. And this gentleman's name is Wade, and let's get into it.
That's sonar.
Uh-oh.
He may not be available. Yeah, I don't think we're talking to him tonight.
I thought maybe it might go to a voicemail thing. I know I've spoken to people in the past where it did, or left like a voice message for people on Facebook Caller or whatever. Maybe he'll call back. Let's chill for a second.
We'll give it a second,
and then and see if he calls back.
So
it is just past 7:30.
I don't want to give away. Well, I can't give away anything because I haven't watched the whole show yet. But that Sasquatch on Hulu. What struck me was the similarities between the first episode where they was talking about the ones were throwing the rocks and that one. So I'm wondering if it's not like some form of communication or attention getting or what. I wonder what is with the rocks, because that is a common thing that I've heard from a lot of people talking about Sasquatch stories.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. I don't know if that. I would think more so they're just trying to mark their territory.
You think it's more like pissing on a tree?
Right.
This is my spot.
This is my spot. What are you doing in my spot? Okay. And that really puts a little bit of emphasis on, what he was saying that his buddy experienced when he first moved into the house, into newly developed land. Before he had all this property to himself. Now all of a sudden there's a structure, and there's this other primate that's wandering about and, using the land as his own, throwing rocks in his river or her river. She might be it might be a female that's the one that's marking her territory. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's primal stuff right there, man.
Oh, yeah.
Smacking the side of the house with a branch, I'd totally do it. If I was a big monkey, I would do it.
Well, I mean, aren't you technically?
I am a big monkey, man. We're all just monkeys flying around in space on a big old rock. Something's going on.
It's your phone. Maybe it's probably the cord. I'm gonna get a new cord.
Yeah, we need to do the best. We need to be the best. So I'm going to try to talk about this a little bit without giving anything away. But yeah, I wrote a review today.
Haven't read it. I'm waiting. I want to finish the show.
And I'm going to tell you that the ending of this show is the ending of this show really is going to be a staple in my mind in any investigation that I do moving forward. Any kind of digging that I do into this stuff will be kind of shadowed by the revelation that occurs.
So if I hear this right, what you're saying is we should watch it not high. Or is high better? Because we were watching it last night super high. And I think that's why it was so great. But
no, I think it was probably designed so that you could do that.
That's what I was getting out of it. So.
Like, I even made mention to the fact that, it's been years for me since 420 was an important date. And this show being released on 420 made this date, this magical date, come back to me as an important date.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah,
it was released on Weed Day or whatever you want to call it.
That was done on purpose.
Yeah, that was totally done on purpose.
Done on purpose.
I think the whole show was probably designed around that. I mean, it is partially. You've seen.
I've seen the first episode. I know they're on the cannabis farm up in the Emerald Triangle.
Right. So that's you know that it at least ties in.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving away spoilers, man.
No, not with that. I knew that was going to come into play, and that I didn't because I didn't think it'd be respectful. But I wanted to ask Dylan if there was mind-altering things involved.
I had the exact same thought. Because, okay, folks, let me just be real with you right now.
Uh-oh.
We come from a part of Georgia, and I'm sure that, drugs riddle the rest of the country. I hear. I mean, even out in Wholesome, Indiana, Illinois, out in Amishville, I got a buddy that's from there that, you know, they deal with methamphetamines there as well. But we're talking about a very specific part of Georgia where that is rampant.
Big time.
Rampant. I mean, yeah, it's almost stapled itself as part of our culture.
Sadly.
As sad as that is. Yeah. I mean, we're talking. It's been consecutively getting worse over the course of my entire life. So I almost don't remember a time when methamphetamines wasn't a common conversation around the West Georgia region.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a sad truth. And yeah, I wish there was something that we could do about it, but there's not. We're just talking about the beast that we know exists here. And it did cross my mind when we were talking to Dylan whether or not there was mind-altering substances of some kind. Now, whether that be weed or
drinking
drinking, or I didn't necessarily get a kind of tweaker vibe out of him.
I didn't either. That's why I didn't, because I didn't want there to be
the man. He spoke cognitively about everything. He had so many details.
Right? Yeah.
So many details. I don't think I've ever, out of all the years that I've been listening to conversations about this topic, I don't think there's ever been a time where I heard someone give so many details about occurrences.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's either a damn good storyteller, a damn good liar, or this shit legitimately happened.
Yeah. I like to lean because of just the fact that I like to believe this shit, that it's a legit true thing. Now,
I believe this guy.
But here's the thing, because he didn't see it, we can't verify that it was actually a Bigfoot. And that's the only thing that kind of, because there are other things. Well, I mean, what else could be throwing big giant rocks like that, though? So,
I don't know if I made this up in my mind or not, but I think there might be some statistics about beavers being able to throw rocks with their tails. I have to look into that.
Yeah, I'm curious now.
But also, I think that if it was beavers, there would be clear signs and evidence of beaver activity.
Well, and plus they wouldn't throw the same number, like 1 and 1, 2 and 2.
Yeah, they wouldn't be intelligent.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, I think even if we don't wind up with this call here, I think that this was a win. I'm gonna chart this down as a win. I really want to say thank you to Dylan. If in fact I get in touch with Wade at a different time, I may record.
Yeah, if you just need one, if it's just you two, no stress. Just get it, get the stuff. We'll put it up. I don't care.
Okay,
it's all good.
Well, I'm not going to do the closer right now because I think that there's probably going to be more.
There's going to be more. We've still got more stuff coming. So
right.
This is just part 1.
This is just part 1. So you guys stay tuned.